May the words of my mouth and the meditation of all our hearts be acceptable in your sight, O God, our strength and our Redeemer. Amen. Please be seated. I think it was 2 weeks ago that we recalled Jesus saying, "I am the good shepherd." Last week we heard another of those "I am" sayings, "I am the true vine, abide in me." This morning's gospel reading is a continuation of that passage. Jesus said to his disciples, "As the Father has loved me, so I have loved you. Abide in my love." And then the talk turns to commandments. Jesus said, "This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you." Love. The Greek word used here is agape. It's not love as a feeling, but love as action. Action for the sake of another without expecting anything in return. It's unconditional love, enacted purely because that is what's needed. Reading this gospel on Wednesday, I remembered a faithful but somewhat crusty senior member of a parish where I was once interim rector. Not this one, by the way. One of this person's friends told me that upon meeting the previous rector, this woman had expressed the hope that he was not, quote, going to be one of those clergy who constantly preached love, love, love. I was duly warned. I confess, however, that when I began preparing to preach this week, my first thought was, oh no, love, 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 again. It was a grumpy sort of reaction, and maybe just proof that I should have gone to bed earlier the night before. But in that moment, it all just struck me as too much. What if I fail to love like that? What if I don't even want to try? I'm tired of being told to love and tired of preaching about it. I kid you not. That's what I was thinking. What's your unguarded reaction when you hear the words commandment and love used in the same sentence? Lutheran pastor David Lose observes that our hearing of gospel readings can be colored by some unhelpful but all too common images of God. He suggests that a person's image of God might stem from all the things that go wrong: a harmful or neglectful parent, an early loss or setback, the cruelty or at least randomness of nature, a vicious disease that took a loved one, and so on. Those are David Lose's words. He goes on to say, perhaps our image of God is shaped by popular theology, a just God that needs to be appeased, a stern parent who sets rules that must be obeyed, the clockmaker that sets things in motion and then remains at a distance, and so forth. None of those images describe the God that Jesus shows us. Just hold that thought for a while. The same day that I began to prepare for this morning, and I was wrestling with all of this, I was blessed by another memory. Remember, Wednesday was May 1st. May 1st in Oxford, England, is a real holiday. And it begins at 6 o'clock in the morning with thousands of people gathered at the foot of Magdalen College Tower, waiting for the choir at the top of the tower to begin singing. And it always begins with singing something called Hymnus Eucharisticus. I don't think I have to translate that for you. It's a grand event. And every year on May 1st, my friend Pamela Warren posts a video of that event, which will have happened already by the time I see the post. And she always tags me in her Facebook post, which is a way of reminding me that we too were there in the year 2005. Now, Pam had gone there to work on a sabbatical project at the Bodleian Library, and I was just there. Barely widowed 4 months earlier, I was to some degree still in shock. And the thing is, my friend Pam had arranged for me to get away from my too empty house to come stay with her at St. Stephen's House, an institution affiliated with the university and devoted to the theological preparation of Church of England candidates for ordination. In the several weeks I was in Oxford, I found myself embraced, not only by my friend, but by St. Stephen's faculty, students, and their families. I was enfolded into the life of that community. And I got to see and do all kinds of things I never would have had the opportunity to do and experience, but for the kindness of all those people. Despite the devastation of bereavement, I came away with a host of memories that would never have been mine, but for that multitude of kindnesses. So this last Wednesday, having had my grump over love, I found myself marveling at how over the years the profound loss felt at the time I was in Oxford had gradually shifted to make room for other feelings, most notably gratitude for what my friend Pam made possible in arranging for me to join her there, and the kindness and hospitality of the community at St. Stephen's. It was a time of healing that was carried forward over the years through being able to remember how others were there offering care when I most needed it. Those same memories brought to mind on Wednesday other blessings, memories of other friends and other wounds healed. And by the way, the friendship of this parish community figures in that longer story as well. That's one of my stories of being loved. Jesus said, I do not call you servants any longer, because the servant does not know what the master is doing, but I have called you friends, because I have made known to you everything that I have heard from my Father. What Jesus experienced, he passed on. He abided in love and made it possible for his followers, imperfect followers just like us, to abide in his love as friends. Now, I hope you can see that by the time I got to running through all of those memories that came up for me on Wednesday, I had an entirely different reaction to this morning's gospel. Jesus was preparing his followers for the painful, difficult, fearsome, and dangerous experiences he knew lay ahead of them. Those earliest friends of his would speak to others about his death and resurrection and about their lives in the light of his love. Those others would speak and act in turn out of their experience, and so on, generation by generation down through the centuries. And it's not that Christians always get it right, but I think we get it right enough to make some impact, because here we are, right? You and I stand in a long line of friends reaching out and making room for others. People befriending strangers, caring for them, helping them to know God's love, whether they would come to identify themselves as Christians or not. And it is in the experience of being cared for, the experience of being loved, that the truest images of God are formed. Few, if any of us, have been perfectly loved, but even imperfect love can show us glimpses of the only truly perfect lover, God. That God chooses you and me to cooperate in making love visible. The strength to do so in a sustained way calls for staying connected. It calls for abiding in the love given to us and given unconditionally. Friends of God, when is the last time you stopped to rest, really rest in the awareness of being loved by God? Is there a way you might want to build into your weekly, or better yet, daily routine a time to do just that? Might you name some of the occasions when you have been the beneficiary of someone else's kindness, some generous offer of their time, of their presence, their understanding, their energy, their assistance in the form of talent or treasure? How often do you pause to be present to some beautiful gift from God. What do such experiences evoke in you? How do you want to respond to such blessings? What is standing between you and the joy of passing something of that blessedness on to another in need of it? What stories might you share about your experience of needs met because someone else cared? It is all about love. Yes, love, love, love. The risen Christ speaks to us of loving one another so that his joy may be in us and that our joy might be complete. Let us, therefore, abide in his love, and doing so, grow in loving one another. Amen.